Guys, so coming into today, I wanted to talk Michigan right out of the gate today. And I've got so many thoughts on Michigan and what's going on with the NCAA. I know you do too, Bray.
100%.
We're going to talk to Anthony Broom about 20, 25 minutes from now about that. And probably a little bit before that, we'll share our thoughts. But we had to pivot a little bit today because of what has happened with the Detroit Lions. Two things kind of happened today. One, an injury. The other happened on the field. First, the injury. Emmanuel Moseley, it's being reported, has a torn pec. He is out indefinitely. This poor guy tore his left ACL 2 years ago. He tore his right ACL last year, and now he's torn a pec. Dan Campbell said there is a chance that he could be back this season, but Braylon Edwards, just how awful this is for this young man. I mean, you work so hard year in, year out to get healthy just to get back on the field and have another injury. So two things. One, how bad do you feel for him? Two, what do you think this does to the defensive backfield?
One, I do feel bad for him. It's terrible. You know how hard it is when you tear you have a major injury and then you have to work those steps to get back. Tore his ACL, like you said, 2 years ago. He's playing with the San Francisco 49ers. Tears his ACL. I've been through that process. I've been through that rehab process.
Mm-hmm.
It is a long, grueling haul. So to be able to have the mental fortitude and the support of your team, of your friend, your family, to get back and just to turn around and do it again, Ryan. So now you have to go through that process yet again. Team believes in you still. They bring you back. They sign you. We can get into all of that. But right now it's about him. And then you tear your pec. He's a resilient individual. I played with some guys like that. Thomas Davis was a guy that tore his ACL 3 times and still was able to have the career that he did with the Panthers. And then so was Frank Gore. Frank Gore is number 2 all time in rushing yards, and he tore his ACL twice in the NFL and twice in college. So it is possible to come back, but you just start to wonder, especially when it happens, first time he plays last year, when it happens in training camp this year. It sucks, but I think the Lions do have to make a decision as it relates to Emmanuel Moseley. Luckily, they didn't have to pay a big fee when they got him in there this year. It wasn't some major contract. It wasn't a huge, $10 to $20 million contract deal. It was a proven contract. It wasn't for that much money, so they won't feel bad. As it relates to the secondary as a whole, I think they're still in good hands. I think you drafted the 2 young guys, Ennis Rakestraw, Terry and Arnold, who we'll get a chance to talk about, like you called earlier with the fight. But you got 2 young guys. You got some guys that you brought over from the Raiders. You brought Carlton Davis over from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and that defense was very solid last year. So I think you have enough. But Emmanuel Moseley was a player that this team believed in. They truly believed in his abilities from San Fran. They watched him get through an ACL surgery and come back. I really wanted to see what he had because the fact that somebody would bring you back after 2 ACL surgeries, I wanted to see what he had. But they're in good hands. It does suck, though, because you felt like this could have been a breakout year for him.
Totally sucks for him. And it's also interesting as well that the 2 major injuries to the Lions this season, John Kaminsky, defensive line, Emmanuel Moseley, defensive backfield. Those are 2 areas of strength, 2 areas of depth for this team. Now, I'm not minimizing how bad this sucks for each of them, but as it stands on the field for these guys, for the Detroit Lions, that is, if you're ever going to have an injury on this team, those 2 positions are probably as deep as any position on the roster that you could have.
Yeah, 100%. Like you said, you don't want to minimize the injury. You don't want the injuries to happen at all. But it's football, it's training camp. Things do happen. The fact that they happen at those positions, you have fillers in those roles. And these guys, Ryan, these guys weren't your superstar guys at those positions. These guys weren't the guys that you were counting on to take the first team reps, to maybe even take the second team reps. So with that said, it's tough that it happens. It is football. And like I said, you could be back. I mean, you're looking at Emmanuel Moseley.
Well, you look at CJGJ last
100%.
year. It happened in week one or week 2. I think week 2.
It
was week 2 against the Seahawks. And then,
Joe.
He was able to come back for the postseason. This is, could he see the last month of the season? Potentially. You just don't know where he's at that point. He's been out of football for essentially 2 years.
Yeah, the good thing, he has been out for 2 years, but the good thing is you have the bodies, you have the depth, so you won't have to rush him back. When CJGJ came back last season, Ryan, if we want to call a spade, it was a weak position for us, talking about the secondary. could have been rushed back.
Mhm.
Now, I'm not saying that Dan Campbell and the guys rushed him back or the medical team, but when you're trying to get back, you're the catalyst for your team. You're going to push the envelope, and I'm pretty sure the coaches and the trainers, they'll let you push the envelope along to help them as well. So this is a situation where Emmanuel Mosley won't have to be jumped in there or thrust into the battle a little earlier. So he'll be able to really come back when he really feels it, if he's able to come back.
Lions and Giants, week 1 of the exhibition season.
Feisty.
That's right. Kicks off on Thursday night, Fox 2 locally here in Detroit if you want to watch the game. The Lions and Giants playing in the joint practices today. Yesterday we saw a lot of fights, a lot of pushing and shoving. Today we saw more of it. I'm going to play for you this interaction between Malik Neighbors and Terrion Arnold. I believe it's Terrion Arnold, right? And then all of a sudden, Kirby Joseph comes in. Take a look. Bray, when two teams get together, I think it's more than likely that you see this kind of stuff, you know, as training camp and the dog days of training camp start to happen. You get closer to the exhibition season, you get closer to the regular season. I understand that. I understand what happened yesterday at camp and all that stuff, all the pushing and shoving. I get that. This is dumb. This is flat out dumb. You cannot afford, if you're Kirby Joseph, to take a swing, break a hand, fracture a bone in your hand, be out 6 to 8 weeks punching at a helmet. You have to be able to keep your cool. That is not what we need right now if you're a Lions fan. We already have 2 major injuries this camp. You have to protect yourself. And I understand pushing and shoving and all that stuff, and you want to act all tough and you're disrespected, and Malik Neighbors probably deserved it.
Yeah.
When he was going back. He absolutely did. But your teammates don't deserve you breaking a hand and you're out 6 to 8. I absolutely hate what happened today.
So I'll start by saying there's a way in which we fight. Shout out to Gibby. It's always good to see Kirk Gibson come in for a cut. And we've been fighting in helmets for a very long time. It's not the smartest thing, but we know how to fight. When guys are throwing punches, guys aren't throwing closed fist straight on the helmet like they're throwing a hook in a boxing ring. It's more on the sides right here, kind of like in the palm wrist, is fighting like that. But with that said, it is still stupid. It is dumb. But Ryan, I got to come from the other side and got to come from the other place.
Absolutely.
Malik Neighbors, you know they're chirping. He and Terrion Arnold, that's Alabama versus LSU. You know they've been going at it for the last 3 years. This is no different. Terrion Arnold shutting them down. And you're talking about a young rookie that's frustrated. He's on a team that he believes probably sucks. Talking about Malik Neighbors. And then you got the gas artist. That's what Kirby Joseph is. He pours the gas on the fire. And I guarantee you, as he's walking back, that's why Terrion Arnold shuts you down, blah, blah, blah. Some other stuff came out. Malik Neighbors frustrated. He throws a punch. Here's where the situation starts. In the team that we are now, the defense that we are now, the secondary that we are now, we want to compare it to maybe the early onslaughts of the Legion of Boom, in the sense that when they were young, when they were first coming up, they couldn't take any stuff. They said they were a thing. They got some traction as a thing, and they wanted to become that thing. They wanted to be physical. They didn't want to take any stuff. That's what we think the Detroit Lions are. That's what the league thinks the Detroit Lions are. So when you're the safety, who is always the protector of the cornerback, safety's got to protect the cornerback.
Mm-hmm.
That's just old school football rules. You come over there, you get popped, you're the big dog. Safety is the one that has to set the tone. He throws the punches. He tries to set the tone. Plus, you're frustrated from training camp because you can't fight like this when you're playing against Amon-Ra St. Brown. You can't punch Jamison Williams. You can't punch Sam Laporta. You're tired. You're frustrated, and you've been at this now for 2 weeks. This is taking it out on the whole of training camp. It's not the smartest thing, Ryan Ermanni, but here's what we see. Does this happen again? Here's what we see. This is a teachable moment. Dan Campbell can talk to those young guys. You don't respond. This is not the team we are. I've seen this happen 2 different ways. I've seen it happen where teams respond and you get the extra penalties. You become the team that's stupid. The penalties get enforced on you and you lose traction. Or I've seen teams do it the right way. The 49ers, the Legion of Boom in Seattle, they didn't get caught up in the back and forth and the shoving. So it's a good teachable moment. for Dan Campbell in this young secondary.
Couple of things here. Mason Leach in the chat. Malik Neighbors cheap shotted Kirby. You don't walk past and throw elbows on a jog by. Yes, there is another angle of this video that clearly shows Neighbors kind of started this thing, and then Kirby went after him. Another post here. Ryan, you sound soft as hell. Here, and that's fine. You come at me all you want on that. Here's where I stand with the Detroit Lions. There's a little bit of a fear factor on my part too, because I think the only people that can stop the Detroit Lions from winning the NFC this year are the Detroit Lions. I absolutely believe the Detroit Lions are the only team out there in the NFC that could stop the Lions from winning the NFC and making it to the Super Bowl. And then you get to Super Bowl, you play, Cincinnati, Kansas City, Baltimore, all bets are off. May the best team win. You've already got two major injuries, and you've known you've got two major injuries when you hit the field today. Emmanuel Mosley went out yesterday. It was brought up this morning. John Kaminsky went out last week.
Yeah.
You get in these scrums, and you had a scrum yesterday. You come out of that with some 350-pound offensive lineman getting tossed aside, rolling up on somebody's ankle. Just the possibility of nothing good happening far outweigh the possibilities of anything good happening. And that's just kind of where I'm at. You are the team with everything to lose. The New York Giants have nothing to lose. At the end of this year, they're going to fire their quarterback, they're going to fire their general manager, and they're probably going to fire their coach.
Yeah.
This is an organization with zero to lose. You have everything to lose. That's why I feel like, and to be quite frank with you, I'm a little disappointed in a Dan Campbell coach team that, especially after yesterday, you wouldn't be able to keep your cool a little bit better than now. And again, I saw the video too. I know Neighbors did the whole elbow walk by first. But again, you gotta keep your cool in these situations, because you get in another scrum, somebody rolls up in an ankle, you're out 6 to 8 weeks or worse, and your season is on the line because of you don't want your manhood tested by the New York Giants in a joint practice.
Ryan, I absolutely appreciate where you're coming from. I appreciate 1,000 where you're coming from, and I don't mean this a disrespectful way. You and I are brothers having a conversation. Sure. That's coming from the space of a privileged fan. That's a privileged fan's way to be able to think, this is stupid, you don't do this. Who are the best defenses in the NFL right now or over the last 10 years or so? You got the Ravens, maybe. You got the 49ers. The Eagles, 2 years ago, they go to the Super Bowl. Those teams are aggressive. That's what we're trying to build here in Detroit. Detroit's defense has been the last laughingstock of the Detroit franchise. They got the offense together. They got the coaching staff together. They got the front office together. The defense minus a position or two, that's still the laughingstock of the Detroit Lions. You want to get more physical. It seemed like we were going that way with CJ GJ last year before he gets injured, and just in terms of the identity. They're trying to get tougher, Ryan. They're trying to get more aggressive. Baltimore, that doesn't get built on the field and being the nice guy and just tackling guys. It gets built in the offseason. It gets built with a swing here, a swing there. It gets built with a little bit of cheap shot here, maybe a little bit extra dirty. But, hey, you know what? It's the Steelers, who are another defense. It gets built over a while and over time, instances and things like this that they can pull back. Man, remember when Terry got in that little bit of smoke and Kirby ran up and had his back? So I agree. 100%, you don't want to see this. You don't want Terry and Arnold or Kirby to get hurt, break a hand, break a finger, knock on wood. That's not going to happen. But at the same time, you're trying to build a defense that teams are scared of. Teams weren't scared to come in the Ford Field because of their defense. They were scared because their offense was a juggernaut. Now you want teams to get nervous when they play the Detroit Lions. You want them to get scared. They're trying to build a little bit of identity. And guys like Kirby Joseph, who are talking the talk, trying to walk the walk and show the young guys. It's stupid, but it's how you build, fear.
I could appreciate that.
Yeah.
Another aspect of this, and again, I did not see practice yesterday. I was not there. But if you followed, and again, take it for what it's worth, and I don't know how impartial the New York Giants beat writers are, but if you believed what the New York Giants beat writers were to say about yesterday's practice, Malik Neighbors and the rest of the New York Giants wide receivers were torching the Lions defensive backs yesterday.
I heard that.
Okay.
Yeah, I did.
So that leads me to believe Kirby Joseph's reaction also leads me to believe that you're getting cooked. You guys are getting cooked out there. You're so frustrated, and that's how you're reacting to what's happening on the field. That's another way that I kind of like, oh, maybe these guys are getting cooked out there without seeing it. And anybody can play one play on Twitter or something like that. Like, show me one play of somebody making a great play, and that's all great. But without the benefit of seeing what was happening out there, when I hear that the Giants receivers are doing their thing against the Detroit Lions, and outside of Neighbors, I couldn't name you one New York Giants receiver, but they had a good day yesterday. So, I mean, maybe there was a little bit of frustration there, too, as part of it.
You know what? I'm going to hit you with something you won't be expecting. Pause. You're right. You're absolutely right. Look, I've done these joint team practices. I've done them in Michigan. You've done them in the NFL. I remember playing for Seattle. We did a joint team practice. We did a joint team practice with the Chiefs. I was getting my ass jammed up. It's training camp.
Right.
Brian, it's hot. You're tired. It's doubles. You're getting jammed up. People laughing at you. That's how it is. It's among the brothers. You start a fight. Why not? You start a fight. You try to get the energy. You try to shift the narrative. You may jam me up on this field, but, we get to this fisticuffs. It's me and you. So, yes, you're absolutely right. This is what it is. It's frustration. But at least it was frustration on the play in which Terry Arnold shut down Malik Neighbors, and then they got a little get back.
Right.
They got after it a little bit. They had some fun. Dan Campbell calmed these guys down, and they will know not to do that once the black and whites come out. And let's talk about the referees.